But it's like, man, had I really given up when I had those thoughts of suicide and when I was depressed and stuff like that, then I wouldn't be here today. Genuinely full of joy.
Wow.
So stay the course.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Flip That Switch. I'm your boy B to the Sis Naive, and we are back with another episode. If you didn't get a chance to go watch the last episode, please go back and watch it. We talked about dealing with confrontational people.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Anyway, before y'all watch this, go back and watch that one. So today we're going to be doing an episode around priorities, why priorities are important. And I thought, who would be better than the person sitting next to me to do this episode with? Because to be honest with you, both our priorities have changed from us being, in our 20s to where we are today, life-changing events happening. And so we're going to be diving into talking about priorities. And so let me introduce to you first the woman to your, it was to my right and it'd be to your left. So this woman she is an amazing, amazing woman. First of all, this woman wears so many hats. She is a daughter. She is a sister. She is a wife. She is a mother. And the way that she just puts her energy into all those hats she wears is nothing short of amazing. And she has been killing it. She has been doing her thing as far as influencing, still kind of, finding her way as far as her brand, but at the same time being a mother, trying to be the best wife that she can be each and every day. She is beautiful. She is a hard worker. She is just nothing short of the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Aww.
And I just want to give her flowers because she is just killing it. And so what I want to do is help me welcome Destene to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, babe. I'm so happy to be here. You guys, anytime I get featured on the show, I'm like, okay, I get to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy to be here. You've been doing amazing and the episodes have been great. I'm just honored that you thought of me for one.
Girl, yeah. I was going to have, at some point I was going to have you on this bad boy, All right, so let's dive right in. So Destene, how are you? And don't give me the surface level answer. I really, truly want to know how you are.
Wow. I'm great. I really am 100% happy in marriage, life, career, motherhood, sisterhood, womanhood. Postpartum has been a great experience for me. I feel like more of a woman now. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I feel like this is real joy and happiness. And it's not just happiness, it's more so joy. And I feel like joy is there to stay. And, on top of that, just co-parenting with someone that really is hands-on and we just tag team this thing every single day, all day. And so for that, it just makes me full of joy. So nice. I'm great. I have no complaints, no therapy sessions needed at the moment.
Okay.
Just everything is great. It's copacetic.
Yeah. And her teeth are great too. I'm just watching her smile and I'm like, dang, that smile is crazy.
With you.
Okay, good. So you're about to be 34.
Yes.
And so you've gone through your 20s. Talk to me a little bit about what your priorities were back when you were in your 20s.
Wow.
What were some of the things that you prioritized? Whether it was, self-care or college or something financial, what were some of the things that were priorities to you?
So in my 20s, I have a little bit of a different story. Okay, so my 20s are kind of split into two buckets.
Okay.
So in the beginning, my 20s were my only priority was like, let me get through school, let me get this job as a nurse. That was like my dream job at the time. And just like trying to be financially stable. I was working, going to school, just really trying to make something of myself. So that was like my early 20s. That's all I cared about. I never went out. I literally went to school, came back home, went to sleep, worked. I used to work the night shift, and then I came home as soon as I, like, that's just the only thing that I focused on.
So you're a homebody.
I'm still a homebody, but it was more so back then. Like, I had no desire to go out, do anything. I was literally just focused on sleep and money and trying to get through school. So that was like early 20s. And then I had a really huge lifestyle, or I'm sorry. Then I had a really big life event that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was engaged at the time to my late fiance. And about 3 months before the wedding, he was killed in a motorcycle accident.
Mm-hmm.
So everything from that point on, it was just like, it was like a flat line. Like, I was just a completely different person. All my priorities changed completely. Did a whole 180. I no longer cared about finances. I didn't care about nothing, like school, nothing. Lost everything.
So your relationship, really everything centered around that relationship with him is that what you're, because you're saying that after that situation happened, now you didn't care about anything anymore.
So, it's so crazy that you say that, because it took healing for me to actually realize that.
Okay.
But at the time, I thought I was making myself happy with everything that I was doing. But in reality, like, a lot of it was kind of centered around our relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took for me to heal from that to actually realize that I was not happy and fulfilled in prioritizing myself and my own happiness and everything like that. So yeah, that life event totally flipped everything around, and I just lost everything. I lost my job. I lost my car. Flunked out of school. Yeah. So, it totally changed. And then I met you.
Okay, so that happens in 20s, well, early 20s.
Yeah.
And then we met about what? You were about 27?
Yeah, in my later 20s, late 20s.
Okay, so between the time that happened and the time that you met me, basically, was your priority like healing at that point?
Yeah, I'll say maybe about 6 to 9 months before I met you.
Okay.
It was about more healing, because before that, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to sit in this depression and I want to feel sorry for myself.
Wow.
That's all I cared about. That was my priority. My priority was like, I deserve to be depressed and be in a funk.
Wow. And I want y'all to understand what she just said there, because there's a bigger thing so priorities, they can change like in the snap of a finger. It doesn't have to be where, a year went by and now I'm prioritizing something else. I mean, a life-changing event can happen. Anything can happen, and then boom, your priorities can change. So if you're one of those and you're struggling with the fact that your priorities are changing quickly, that's okay. That's normal. Stuff happens. Life happens. As you go through life, things occur. Your priorities may change right away. It doesn't have to take like 2 or 3 years,
Mm-mm.
So, okay. So fast forward to you being 27, you're meeting me, you're healed, I'm assuming.
I'm healed, but there was, still something. It's a work in progress, right?
Right.
Like, I wasn't just like
110% healed.
110%, 100% healed. I mean, that was major. We had been together for like almost 8 years.
Yeah.
The wedding was 3 months before the event happened, when he passed.
Okay.
So it was a lot that, it took years to work on. You know, when I met you, he had been past probably about 4.5 years.
Okay.
So it was still a lot that I was still going through, but I was putting my faith in God more to not block my blessings, if that makes sense. So I was really prioritizing, like, making sure that I become a better friend now and a better sister now and get out more so that I'm not just a hermit crab in the bed in the dark all day. You know, so it was I was healed, but there was still work to be done.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Got it. When you met me, what were your priorities then? So, you know, obviously we talked about the relationship with him and how everything was sitting around that. And then that life-changing event kind of showed you kind of where you were as far as mentally, as far as from a priority aspect. And then you went through healing. So right before you met me, kind of talk to me a little bit about what your priorities were then.
So when I met you, priorities for me were, I think I was just focused on really just becoming a better person for other people. I kind of realized that I was a little bit of a drag to be around. Okay. You know, I started to think like, oh my gosh, I'm pushing 30 and I've got to like I got to pick myself up. You know, that was my...
It's so funny because people are so far away from like a milestone, but they'll say I'm pushed. Like, you 26 years old, you talk about I'm pushing 30. No, you're not 29 going on 30. You 26, I'm pushing 30.
Well, that's, you know what, for a woman, it's so crazy because we put so much on our biological clock. Yeah. You know, like they tell you you're like high risk pregnancy at 35. So you think you have to have your whole entire life planned and figured out before then. Yeah. And so that's like something that we need deliverance from, honestly, because at 25, I started feeling like I was pushing 30. Okay. Like,
that is hilarious. Okay. So you were prioritizing trying to be better for other people.
Yeah. And then just like being more present and trying to like make something of myself, you know, like my friends around me were starting families, having kids, buying houses, and starting their careers. And there was just me kind of like starting over. You know, I felt like I had life all figured out. Then that happened. So it was really my priorities at that age when I met you. It was really just trying to become a better person. Okay. It was about financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, like all of that. I was just trying to be a more present, better version of myself.
Okay. Got it. And so you meet me, and obviously we're just chugging along, dating, and then we get together, and, you know, obviously I propose, we get engaged, we get married.
Within 30 days, y'all. I don't know if y'all know this, but he proposed, and on your 30 birthday. Days later, we got
got married 30 days later.
I was like, I ain't playing no game. I'm not losing this one this time.
No. Well, it was a couple reasons why I did that, but that was my prioritizing, because I was prioritizing. I didn't want a shack. Yeah. Because I never was a shacker.
Like living with someone before marriage.
Yeah. And so for me, it was like we had moved in, and I was like, okay, you know, internally, I'm like, I know that, you know, at some point God's going to be like, hey, man, you got to get this together, because, you know, this is not how we do things. And so,
yeah, it's so crazy because I'd never lived with anyone before marriage either. But it was really weighing heavily on him. It was weighing heavy. I was like, wow, this is different. I thought a man normally were just like, oh, well, we live together, we're getting all the goods and all this stuff, so I need to marry you. Yeah. You know? But he was really like convicted about it.
And I already knew that I wanted to marry her. And obviously this was also during COVID. And so we knew that we weren't going to have a big wedding because we didn't want a lot of people I mean, we didn't want to. She didn't want a big wedding anyway, and I was like, "All right, cool," because
yeah. So it was like
in my pocket.
Yeah. So it was like, why wait?
Why wait?
So we did it in 30 days. And
yeah. So that was
cool.
Okay. So we're married, chugging along. Now, what is the priority? Because as y'all are seeing, as life events are happening, the priorities are starting to change. They're not going to be the same. And I'll tell you this: as you grow, and as things happen, as you develop, as you gain more wisdom and knowledge, the priorities are going to change. They just are. So don't be afraid to follow it, to go with it. That's just you developing, and to me, getting more wiser. Yeah,
absolutely,
growth.
Absolutely, because by the time we got married, I feel like I had a hold on things. You know, I felt healed. I felt ready for the next phase of life. I wanted to genuinely have joy in my heart, be happy, and live an actual happy life.
Wow.
You know, so when the priorities when I met him was just like, well, when we got married was, I just wanted to just be like a really amazing wife. Like I wanted to create a beautiful home, a clean home, beautiful, like pictures on the wall. And like, that was really my priority. It still is to this day, actually. That's something I just kind of like take with me. I just feel like a big part of my priorities at that time, especially, was like, I just wanted to have a beautiful home for my husband to come home to.
Wow.
Is that crazy or what?
No, especially, I mean, it's she's not lying, y'all. To this day, she still takes a lot of pride in that. And
I do.
When I come into this house, you know, when I used to go into the office and I would come home, I would be so excited about coming home because I knew that I was walking into a space that was really curated for not only her, but me as well.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to come to grips with the fact that like she takes so much passion into it because I hadn't been used to it. You know, I'm like, you know, when I had my apartment and stuff like that, I mean, I was a clean guy. Don't get it twisted. I was for sure a clean guy. I mean, but
it just didn't have a woman's touch.
It just didn't have a woman's touch, you know. And so when she started to kind of talk to me a little bit about what she was passionate about, which is decor, I'm like, it wasn't that I didn't buy into it. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't really take it.
He didn't know the extent.
I didn't know to the extent. I did not know to the extent. So to this day, she still shares that sentiment. Like she is a great homemaker and she continues to be a great homemaker. And that's one of the things I love and admire about her.
I do. I genuinely, that was really the priority at the time. I just wanted to be a bomb wife, an amazing wife.
Okay.
Curate a beautiful space for us and us just like enjoy each other's company. Like, you know, when we got married, it was during COVID. So we had to really be intentional with our time because there was so much of it.
Yeah.
You know, so we had to be creative. We had to think of, so I think at that time, the priorities were just kind of like, how do I be a better person to be around during this weird time in life? Like we were together 24/7. And I think that's what kind of made our bond like really strong because we were still freshly, you know, our relationship was still fresh. Mm-hmm. You know, we hadn't been together like 10 years before COVID. It was still so new.
Yeah.
So we pretty much built this thing off of being around each other 24/7 and navigating how that looks to have your own individual time, to have marriage time, couple time, friendship time, conversations. And so, I think at that time the priorities were just trying to like just be a really great wife. Yeah. You know, and that was something that you have to like work on and really kind of like get a handle on, you know?
And it's constant work. The work never ends.
Absolutely not. But at least when it was brand new, you're just kind of like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I just got this job. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to move the parts, you know? Yeah. Whereas now it's like, okay, I know how the parts work. I know, how to So it's just like trying to be better now, whereas I was just learning then.
I understand. That's good. That's good. So now we're married, and you decide, or not you, we decide that social media is going to enter into our lifestyle. When you first, when we first started doing our social media journey, was that a priority for you, or was it kind of just something like, you know what, this is just something I'm gonna try, I'm gonna test out. It's a hobby. If it doesn't work, it's cool. I don't lose anything. Or from day one, did you start prioritizing social media as, okay, I want this to become something?
So honestly, to be 100%, that was kind of something we just kind of threw at the dartboard and see if it would stick. Mm-hmm. We had no idea. I had no inkling that it would be where it is today. So at first it started as something that was just like a hobby. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's going to come of it, but let's just give it a year. That was our thing. We used to say, remember, we were like, we're just going to give it
a year.
1 year.
Yeah.
If nothing happens, it's okay. Like, we just gave it a year, but we're not going to stop. We're going to give it a year and see where it goes. So, well, it just so happened, like maybe 4 to 6 months in, things like really took off for us. And so then it became a priority because it was already starting to supplement, like the funds were looking beautiful. So that became the priority, kind of like to, switch it into
thinking it awesome.
Make it like, profitable and take it more serious. And, because at first it was just for fun. So
we slowly kind of changed it from it being a option to the option.
Yeah.
It took a while, but we got into that mode and that mindset of, okay, we're going to prioritize this to be the option because we know
it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. And we know like the benefits of it, and we just know what it can do. Mm-hmm. And so that's when we kind of made the priority to be like, all right, let's
focus on building this. I mean, I was a hound dog in the beginning. I was like, filming this hour, we're editing this hour, we're filming again.
I think that we had strengths that we both leveraged.
Oh, absolutely.
And so for her, it took me a while to get on board with TikTok. It did, because I'm like, I didn't see what the end goal or the end result was. So it took me a while, I'm not going to lie. She would be the one driving it. Hey, we got to do this. We want to, there's a certain lifestyle we want to create and a certain path and a lane that we want to create for ourselves. And this is a part of that. And then for me, at that time, I was like, man, I want to do YouTube. I want to do like videos and stuff like that. But then, it took us, or not us, it took me a while to see how they connected. And so when I started seeing that, it started making sense to me. Like, okay, now I see why she's driving this home.
But it really and truly worked out because his push was for YouTube.
Yeah.
My push was for more short form content like TikTok. And I don't think Reels was at the time. There was no Reels. So it was TikTok.
Right.
But it was because he was pushing me to do YouTube and I was pushing him to do TikTok. It kind of just like all weaved, and it just worked because we just kept pushing each other to do both.
Right.
So nothing fell to the wayside. So I think that it happened the way it was supposed to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we got social media, we're married, we're doing our thing, but something's missing. And so, and it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just, there's things that happen in your life that makes you fulfilled, right? And so something was missing. And so now the priority started to become what?
Creating our little bundle of joy. It was definitely a test.
Yep.
It was a test of faith. It was a test of perseverance.
Yeah.
It was a test. Thank God it was never a test on our marriage. I thank God for that. Because a lot of people, it tears them apart. And it never, not once, did that to us. We were like rocking the whole time together.
Yeah.
That's, you know what? It's so crazy. I just kind of realized that we took that for granted. But a lot of people really struggle during IVF, which is what we had to do to conceive. So it took us, I guess like 3+ years of the whole process.
Yeah.
And then we finally got our baby. So yeah, in the midst of our brand new marriage, we were going through IVF as well.
Yeah.
So it was, wow, like that was another priority. But, I think we were just trying to kind of like not focus on it. So I don't think it was like a super priority until probably the fail.
Yep.
The first time it failed, that's when we were like, oh crap.
Because we realized all the things that we had to do. That became a huge priority for us. So here it is, like, life is great. We're chugging along. We're doing our social media. We're traveling. And because we wanted to add on another piece to our lives, the stuff that we were told we'd have to go to get that, we still prioritize that,
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing how you could be going through life, everything could be good, but one thing you want to change about your life or your lifestyle or some type of life-changing event, and now it's like, you know what, even though for some people that'd be like going through the trenches to get to where you at, they still prioritize it.
Yeah.
So no matter what the situation is, it's like when you prioritize something, like it becomes the full focus. And so when it failed, I think we were both like, okay, you know what? That's it. We're done.
I think definitely Brandon was...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Brandon,
okay. Look, my bad. Okay. I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
He wasn't a believer anymore. Yeah. I think that's what it was. I don't think that it wasn't that he didn't want a child anymore. He just didn't believe in the process. I think you lost faith in the process.
I did.
Because of the fail.
I did. Because we had went through so much. We prayed. I mean, we spent money. And it wasn't that I felt like it was a slap in my face. Because as we were doing all that, I was grateful and appreciative that we were doing that. It was like, okay, you know what? This could be part of our testimony. When this thing happens, when she gets pregnant, this will be all for a testimony to be able to tell somebody else. So as we're going through it and as we're doing these surgeries and things like that, I'm actually grateful and thankful and appreciative. But when we got that no, all that just kind of just went out the window for me.
Yeah. And I felt like because we had another chance, because we had another egg in the bank from my retrieval.
Yeah.
This is probably too much IVF talk if you guys aren't familiar. But essentially, I felt like we had one more chance. And I wasn't willing to
just let
it go.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
and she had to convince me to be like, hey, look, let's just give it another shot.
Yeah.
And so now, once we decided that the priority was, okay, now let's get back into form to start doing these shots again, and the pills she had to take, and just making sure I'm there as a support system for her.
Yeah, that became a huge priority in our marriage. Like at that time, that was like the only thing. We were like laser focused.
We were laser focused. We followed every instruction that Dr. Jones told us to follow to the T, because we were like, we can't afford to go through this. And remember, the first time we did IVF, we did a little quicker process.
Yeah,
this one was more drawn out.
Yeah,
because there was 2 different options we could have chose.
Mm-hmm.
So we did the longer process this time, but we followed everything to the T. And then as a husband, my priority became being her support system, mm-hmm. and making sure that she's not stressed, making sure that everything is going according to plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so follow me here. Well, I know y'all following this whole little journey, but okay, so we go through IVF, you get pregnant. What's your priority then?
My only priority was getting through this pregnancy and having a baby, a healthy baby as the outcome.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all I cared about. I felt like we were great. I felt like our home was great. We were great financially. So I just wanted to completely have my eyes blind to any other possible stress that could occur.
Mm-hmm.
All I cared about, the only thing that was my priority was making it through that pregnancy. Because it was such unfamiliar territory, pregnancy has, it has some ups and downs, and it was just so much that my body was going through. I genuinely felt like it was so important for me to just be at ease. So I didn't want to prioritize anything else. I intentionally didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of my home, obviously, but yeah, that was the only priority at the time. Like, we had already bought the home. We had everything, all the things were ready, all the things.
Yeah.
So I just felt like that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Okay. And now that Ocean's here, talk to me a little bit about how the priorities have changed as far as, like, remember, it went from you and your past relationship, your late fiance, to marrying me, getting the house. Now we have the baby. She's here now. Talk to me a little bit about how things have changed.
Wow, it's different because I've never been a mother before.
Okay.
So now, as a mother and a wife and a homemaker, it's just kind of like you said earlier. It's so many hats. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to, like, just switch them out all day, or sometimes put on all 5
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. So because there are so many things that, oh my gosh, like, the priorities are just different. Like, everything is still, I think it's always going to stand true, that I'm always going to be, like, prioritize being a better wife, a better Christian, a better homemaker, a better mother. It's so many priorities now as a mom,
Yeah.
and then also to, like, raise and train someone, like, everything she's learning now and who she's going to be, it starts right here.
Yes.
With these 2 people.
Yes.
And that's heavy.
Yes.
When you think about it, because you can listen to so many people, and the first thing when they talk about a traumatic experience or something that they wish they had, or something that they went through that they wish they had, it always starts from their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so, like, focused on having a healthy space in home and relationship with her,
Mm-hmm.
so that she does not have to look back and be like, because of these 2 people, I'm here, or,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's, like, a major priority for me, as well as, like, the financial goals that we have. We had, when we first bought our home that we're currently in, at the time, we didn't know we could have children.
Right.
So the space was perfect for just you and me.
Me and me, yeah.
But now it's like, we need more space.
Yeah.
We're looking into the forever home. So there's just so many different buckets of priorities right now. But
Yeah.
it's so crazy because it never felt like this before becoming a mother.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like, but in all, I still feel so at peace and so calm about it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a blessing, because I feel like a better woman as a mother.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
so crazy.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like in my zone with this. Like, this is what I was supposed to be.
Wow. And
sure.
it's still not over. And
She's just getting started. She's not even a year yet.
Yeah. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. Growth is inevitable, and you're expected to grow in this life. You only get one life. God gives us one life. He gives us one chance, one opportunity to get out here and make an impact. And as you get older and as you grow, the priorities are expected to change. I mean, we just sat here and listened to her give us, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And in that, it was like the priorities changed about 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's going to happen. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to allow your mind to grow with you.
Yeah.
Allow your mental to grow with you. Allow your priorities to grow with you. It's okay if they change because they're going to.
They're going to. And a lot of, through my story, I'm realizing that like 95% of them were like positive changes, like, or even more than that. Like, it was necessary.
Yeah.
It was necessary. If my priorities stayed the same, then that means I wouldn't have grown from my early 20s or my late 20s,
We wouldn't be here today.
Mm-mm.
If they hadn't changed.
Mm-mm.
And that's really something you guys can take away from this. Like, if your priorities do not change, then you may want to just kind of do some self-reflection and ask yourself, like, okay, who is it that I want to be? What is it that I want to do in life? What is it that I'm trying to accomplish? What is the impact that God is calling me to make on society, the world? And from there, you got to figure it out because, like we said, priorities should be changing as growth happens. All right, so I like to ask this question to everybody, all my guests, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're now 34.
Yes.
And
am I 34?
Yeah. Oh, you will be.
I'm about to be 34.
Look, I'm rounding up. You're 34.
I'll be 34 in June.
Look, I'm jealous because she's younger than me. So yeah, we gonna round up these years.
So I'm 33. Thank you.
She's 33. And like 11 months.
Uh-huh.
So you are 34-year-old Destene. Mm-hmm. You're talking to 22-year-old Destene.
Mm.
And the 22-year-old Destene, pretend that's me. I'm asking you, hey, what advice would you give me about priorities from a standpoint of, like, yes, I know they're going to change, but how do I make sure within that I'm still growing as the priorities are changing? Because I don't want to get lost in the sauce. I don't want to get caught up thinking about why my priorities changed. So I'm just asking 33.5-year-old Destene, what advice would you tell me about priorities?
I would say stay the course.
Okay.
Stay the course because you don't know what God has in store for you. So even if you are focused on something right now and it's a huge priority for you, just stay the course. Sit there a little bit. And that's the thing. There's no time limit on this, right? So sometimes it's 2 to 3 months or 6 to 8 months, 1 to 2 years. If that's something that is on your heart and you're making steps towards attaining whatever it is that you have on your heart that you want to do, as long as you're making those steps, it could be small steps like therapy, or one day you're going to go out and, I don't know, catch a movie by yourself, or just to kind of like pull yourself out of depression, or whatever the case is. As long as you're making small steps towards knocking that goal out, or getting over a hump, or, digging yourself out of debt, whatever it is, just stay the course. Have faith, pray, and really put your trust in God. For me, that's what I would tell myself.
Notice when we were going through all these changes, the focal point was God. It was prioritized. He's the ultimate priority, right? So, I mean, God goes without saying. Yeah. Everything flows through him. He's the ultimate decision maker. He dictates what happens, right?
And I think sometimes you want to believe that, but certain circumstances will definitely test your faith.
Yep.
And that's why I say stay the course.
Right. Because remember, when the first IVF failed, I wanted to give up. And had I given up, Ocean wouldn't be here today.
Right. Yeah.
She just wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that's not a walking testimony in itself,
exactly.
it's there. So, you have to stay the course, because remember what we said is parties can change at the snap of a dime, or they can take 1 or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But as you grow in things of that nature, maybe God will reveal to you that, okay, maybe it's time to change the priority and put your focus into something else.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know unless you just be still, focus on him, and allow him to direct you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that would be what I would tell 20-year-old Destene, because I would lose the faith sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, had I really given up when I had those thoughts of suicide and when I was depressed and stuff like that, then I wouldn't be here today. Genuinely full of joy.
Wow.
So stay the course.
And have priorities. Like, priorities challenge you.
Mm-hmm. And notice they're not like, some of them aren't even major.
Yeah. Yeah, but you gotta have them. You gotta have a vision, and you gotta challenge yourself. Sometimes you gotta get uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. We live in a world and society where it teaches us to kind of be comfortable and lazy and just stay like stagnant, because the world doesn't want you to have anything or be anybody and be anything. But you got to overcome that and persevere through that, because if you're on this earth, you're meant to do something. Mm-hmm. You got to figure out what that is and prioritize that and focus in on it.
I'm so glad.
Thanks for pulling up to the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. I'm so happy to be here.
This was a good episode.
I enjoyed the conversation.
I hope this really, truly helps somebody that's kind of in the phase right now where they're just trying to still figure things out. Hopefully something was said here to kind of help you, do that, and wish you nothing but the best. But make sure you're following us on IG. That's where we post the reels from the episode. And if you can't watch us, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts at Flip That Switch. And so just make sure you're tapping in with us. But Destene, I want to thank you so much again for coming on the show. We appreciate you. And we're going to see y'all for the next episode. And we out. Peace.